In this review, we're going to be talking about the Sharpshooter Specialization, its skill tree, and the ins and outs of using this class. Since there's a bunch of perks to go through in the perk tree, we'll be breaking them down into categories to try and get a clear picture of what the Sharpshooter class really is. I started to categorize the perks myself, but then ran across a PCGamesN.com article that did a really good job of categorizing everything, so I'll put a link to that website in the description of this video. Anyway, the four categories are general modifiers, weapon modifiers, skill modifiers, and miscellaneous modifiers. But before we delve into that, let's just quickly talk about what the Sharpshooter class is. Once you unlock the Sharpshooter Specialization, you'll get a fourth weapon to use in combat. It's the TAC-50C Sniper Rifle. It's a monster, and as you might have guessed, choosing this class will incentivize long-range combat, so if you like using rifles and marksman rifles, this will probably be the class for you. That being said, a lot of the perks we're about to go over will greatly benefit other playstyles as well, so let's just jump into the general modifiers so you can see what I'm talking about. One in the head is a perk with 5 tiers, but once you have it maxed out, headshots will do plus 25% more damage. It's a pretty decent chunk of extra headshot damage, especially once you start working on a gear build centered around outputting even more headshot damage. Deft Hands is the next perk. It's one of my favorite perks in any of the 3 specializations. There are 3 tiers to this one, and once you have it maxed out, you'll be able to reload any weapon 30% faster, which is pretty insane. The next perk is called Bratton Control, which is another one of my most favorite perks. It has 3 tiers, and it will improve your weapon stability, recoil, and target acquisition by 30%. Just like the Deft Hands perk, Breath Control is awesome for any weapon type. My Home is My Castle is a perk that will give you extra armor while utilizing cover. It doesn't offer a ton of extra armor, but it's still better than nothing. The Vital Protection perk can be found in all 3 specialization perk trees. It will reduce the chance that you're critically hit by 20%, so it's pretty badass. It'll make you a little more tanky, and again, you can get this perk with the Demolitionist and Survivalist specializations as well. The last perk in the general modifier category is the Sharpshooter Tactical Link. This one gives your group members plus 10% headshot damage if they're closer to the enemy than you. Not a super crazy perk, but it'll help the team a little bit. Now on to the weapon modifiers, starting with the Flashbang. It will blind enemies in a pretty large area for around 5 seconds, and I personally like the Flashbang a little bit more than the Frag Grenade, but not as much as the Fire Grenade that you get with the Survivalist specialization. The next perk is the Sharpshooter 93R pistol. It shoots 3-round bursts at a very high RPM, but it only has a 20-round magazine capacity, and it's not all that powerful. It's also stuck at a gear score of 300, so I think it's a garbage perk, especially for the 10 points it costs to unlock it, but I guess it can't all be winners. Now on to the signature weapon damage perk, which has 4 tiers and offers up to 145% more signature weapon damage. Having this perk maxed out in conjunction with a headshot build will allow you to do insane amounts of damage with the TAC-50C Sniper Rifle. Next is This Is My Rifle, which is a perk that increases rifle damage by 15%. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but some of the rifles can actually shoot fairly quickly, so the extra 15% damage per round is actually pretty nice. The last perk to go over in the weapons modifier category is the Digital Scope. It's actually a mod that you can equip on rifles and marksman rifles. It grants plus 45% more headshot damage and negative 5% critical hit damage. This is one of my top 3 modifiers in this class, next to Deft Hands and Breath Control. The scope feels good, and if you're using a serious sniper build, that 45% extra headshot damage is hard to turn down compared to the other scope mods. The next category to go over are the skill modifiers, and I think this is the weakest part of the Sharpshooter Specialization. The first perk you'll unlock is the Tactician Drone, which is a drone that you can send out to mark enemy locations. There is some utility to this, but since you can only have 2 skills equipped at any one time, most people are going to go for something else, including myself. I suppose if you're playing with a group, the benefits to the tactician drone become more profound, but it's generally not too difficult to figure out where the enemies are, and I think it's one of the weakest skills in the game, to be honest. Anyway, the other two skill modifiers buff the tactician drone. One is called Graphene Battery, which increases the drone's duration, and the other perk is called Carbon Fiber Frame, which reduces the cooldown period of the tactician drone. The last category to go over are the miscellaneous modifiers, and then I'll give you my overall impression of the Sharpshooter Specialization. The first modifier is the X-Stat Armor Kit Supplementary. With this perk, armor kits repair 50% of your armor, or 50% less of your armor depending on how you look at it. But it will also remove any status effects, and it will make you more resilient to bleeding, burning, and hazard effects for 20 seconds after applying an armor kit. I can see how some people might like this perk, but I'm not a huge fan. If I'm set on fire, I typically just get out of the fire, and I'm fine. And the 20 seconds of resilience to status effects is okay, but what are the chances that you'll need it? Most players don't typically plan on getting hit with status effects. Whenever I use an armor kit, it's a last resort because I desperately need armor, so the 50% less armor sucks. Alright, we spent enough time on this perk. Let's move on to the next one. It's called 50 Caliber Ammo Acquisition. Headshot kills will drop ammunition for your signature weapon, the TAC-50C. This perk won't work with headshot kills from the TAC-50 itself, but if you're playing a sniper build anyway, you should be getting a lot of headshot kills with your normal or marksman rifles anyways. The next perk is called Group Signature Ammo Supply. Whenever you kill an enemy with the TAC-50, there's an increased chance of signature ammunition dropping for every member in your group or raid team. Round after round is the next perk. After 20 seconds in cover, you'll get 5 rounds for your rifles, and you'll get 5 more rounds every 10 seconds after that. Kind of a worthless perk. Most people don't spend that much time behind one piece of cover, and ammunition usually isn't that hard to come by. The last perk in the miscellaneous group is the Marksman uniform. It's kind of cool, I guess, but I personally prefer customizing all my apparel slots for a unique image, and I think most players would agree with that as well. All 3 specializations in the Division 2 have some worthless perks, and all 3 have some pretty awesome perks, so let me tell you what I think of the Sharpshooter Specialization. If I had to rate the Sharpshooter class on a scale of 10, which I know is, kind of subjective, I would give it an 8 compared to the other 2 specializations based on the following perk bonuses. Plus 25% headshot damage, plus 30% reload speed, plus 30% weapon stability, 15% more damage done with rifles, the flashbangs are okay, 145% more signature weapon damage, and the digital scope that offers 45% more headshot damage, which is pretty awesome. Everything else is kind of whatever, but everything I just listed makes the Sharpshooter class really great for anyone who prefers long-range combat. The 2 points I'm deducting from the Sharpshooter Specialization comes mostly from the Tactician drone, especially when you compare it to the other skills you'd probably rather have equipped. Again, identifying enemy locations isn't all that difficult, so a skill that does damage or heals is probably of better use in most situations. So what do you agree or disagree with in this review? Let us know in the comments section, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like on it. That would help out the Havoc Gaming channel a lot. And if you like most of my videos in general, please consider subscribing. That would help me out very much. Thanks for watching, and Godspeed.